Is your dog or your cat in pain? There are actually many different signs if your dog or cat is in pain, and some can be really subtle, difficult to notice. But in today's video, I'm going to be showing you all the specific signs so you can know if your dog or cat is in pain. Plus, I'll also be talking about some of my top natural remedies for pain relief. Are you looking to learn more about natural pet health and wellness? You've come to the right place. Click the link to subscribe to Veterinary Secrets. I'm having a brand new upcoming webinar, Top Natural Anti-inflammatories and Painkillers in Dogs and Cats. Why natural pain relief is important. How to avoid the side effects of the NSAIDs. Chronic inflammation and disease in our pets. Why this is important, and most importantly, what you can do about it. The webinar is free. It's happening Tuesday, August 26th at 5 p.m. Pacific. You can click the link in the box below to sign up. Just like you can experience pain and probably have experienced pain, your dog or cat, they have much the exact same thing can be happening to them. But the big thing, as we all know, and especially I know as a veterinarian, is that our pets, they don't talk. So where you and I can say like, oh, my tooth hurts, my ear, there's this throbbing inner part of my ear, your dog or cat can't say that. Meaning it's important for you to be able to recognize the sign of your pet being in pain and then being able to properly treat them. And I was taught as a veterinarian that if your dog, your cat is in pain, they needed to be treated for that. Yes, number one, just ethically, helping them relieve that pain. But secondarily, and as importantly, when your dog or cat's pain is treated appropriately, they're then able to better respond to whatever underlying health problem that they have. Meaning your pet, they get better quicker. Maybe it's kidney disease, but then their body can focus their resources onto dealing, with that underlying UTI, respond so much better. Right, kitty cat? First and probably most obvious is there's big changes in movement. Reluctance or difficulty climbing stairs, especially in our dogs. Difficulty jumping up. I'm seeing this in Tula. She's really reluctant. She's thinking twice before she jumps up onto the sofa. And subtly, you may be seeing this in your elderly cat, right? Where they're just, they used to just leap up onto the exam table like Cassian can now. These older cats, they'll just look at it and they just won't do that jump. Maybe obvious that they're limping, they've got a paw raised, right? There's a leg that they're favoring. You can see that in your dog or cat, dogs more often. And that's an obvious sign. Okay, obviously something's painful and sore. For some of our pets, after lying down, they might have a hard time just being able to get back up again, right? Tula sometimes, especially if the floor is the hardwood floor, she can't get a good grip. She has a bit more difficulty going from lying down to sitting up. Don't you, little poodle? She's 14. She clearly has some arthritis. You are in some degree of discomfort, aren't you? Some of the things I see in veterinary practice, animals that might have had a neck injury, maybe something affecting their spine, they're going to walk really hunched. Typically their neck is down. We'll call it like this guarding position, right? Or you might see that their abdomen, kind of like Tula is now and a bit nervous, their abdomen is kind of tucked in. We call it hunched, right? So they are uncomfortable or in pain. Imagine you having a sore back. Much the same thing can be affecting our pets. They're walking really hunched and gingerly. I'd be thinking then maybe a sore spine, sore back. That's a sign of a pet in pain. Second, you're going to see changes in activity. For dogs especially, moving around less. Less interest in plays and walks. The classic sign of a dog in pain, they are going to be panting, right? This increase in panting, they're panting because they're uncomfortable and in pain. We do not see this in cats. It's really common in both our dogs and our cats especially, is that they'll just sleep a whole lot more. Cassian will wake up and he runs around chasing his little toy mouse. If he was in pain, he just wouldn't be doing that, right? He's going to be far less active. He's going to sleep more. Third, we can see behavioral and or personality changes in our dogs and cats. You may just see that your dog is just less interactive. He's not seeking you out the same way. Your cat who normally greets you in the morning is not greeting you. He's sore, right? So he doesn't have the same personality. Some animals, they just don't enjoy petting, right? And I'd see this in some cats. All of a sudden, they're not enjoying it because they're in pain. And I'd have some pet parents just say, my dog, he's just not himself, right? And you can imagine yourself, if you've ever been in serious pain, I think about myself with a broken collarbone and rib and tooth abscess. Like all of a sudden, like you're just more irritable, like it hurts. All you think about is your throbbing tooth. You're not yourself. Like, so it makes sense. Our animals, they're not their same personality, right? Because they're focusing on this pain, but they can't say it. They can't say that their tooth hurts, or they can't say that their ear hurts, or they can't say like their ligament's really sore in their knee. But if that's the case, they're going to be really, really different. Some animals can be more irritable, right? They're just a little more spicy. Some can even become actually aggressive. Fourth, we can see changes in appearance. We can see weight gain, we can see weight loss. With our cats especially, ones that are great groomers, we can see matted fur, right? There's just a marked decrease in self-grooming. For both our dogs and cats, you might see areas where they're repetitively licking it. Maybe your dog has a thing you might call a hot spot, where they've licked an area over top of a joint, but it could be that underlying, they've got joint arthritis, right? So it's painfully irritated. They're excessively licking over top of that joint. We have a thing in cats called self-mutilation, where they're in pain and they'll reach back and they might chew on part of their foot or chew on the inside of their thigh. They're in pain and that's how they're expressing that pain. There is a thing called the Feline Grimace Scale. It's been developed by veterinarians to allow you to assess how your cat looks and assess their level of pain. A cat who is relaxed and not in pain, typically you're going to see that their ears are up, their head is up, their chin is up, right? The whiskers are hanging, they're relaxed, right? Their face isn't pinched in any way. A cat who's in pain, you're expected to hear their ears might be back, right? Off to one side. You're going to see that their face looks a bit sort of tucked in. They're kind of sucking their face in. You're going to see their whiskers, instead of hanging down and relaxed, they might be sticking more straight out because they've got their muscles tucked in. Often a cat in pain, they're going to have squinted eyes, right? They're sore and they're expressing it with their facial expressions. So important you're able to recognize that and then treat that. Think about how you look if you're in pain. I mean, I recall my last less enjoyable dental visit where I needed a root canal and it turned out that there was a nerve to be frozen that wasn't in a typical place. So the freezing initially wasn't working as well. Well, I'll tell you, I'm like, did I ever have a grimace face, especially when you've got a drill going into your side of your tooth and it's not adequately frozen? Holy cow, there's a lot of grimacing going on. So think about how you maybe have felt in a painful situation and how your face changes. Same thing is happening with our cats. And obviously even our dogs. I mean, I can look at Tula. If she's happy, you can tell that she's happy. If she was in pain, like her tooth is really sore, she just tried to bite on a little piece of something and you're going to look different. Like right now, Tula's relatively happy. You are? Yes, you're a good girl. Yes, you're not in pain. You're not crazy about being up here, but seem pretty relaxed. Pain can affect your pet's pupil size. Sometimes it can be enlarged. Sometimes they can be pinpoint and small. Because it changes in eating and drinking, if your dog or your cat's in pain, right? More often we see a loss of appetite. There may be bad breath. There may be increased salivation. Vocalizing is a big thing, and I think probably most of us have heard our dogs whine if they're in pain. He might growl, he might whimper. Our cats can become really vocal, howling, hissing, spitting if they're in pain. And another lesser known fact, some cats may actually purr when they're in pain. And this is something I saw in veterinary practice. Then lastly, you can see alterations in bathroom habits for both our dogs and our cats. Your elderly dog that was house trained just may not be able to get up in time and, scratch at the door to let you know she needs to go out, right? And you may see, these puddles of urine in the house. We might see our cats avoiding the litter box. They're yowling, they're excessively vocalizing when they're defecating or urinating. If your dog or cat is experiencing some of those clinical signs, it's pretty safe to assume that they are in pain. Obviously, the first big thing is figuring out exactly what's the underlying cause, like what's causing it. So in opinion, it's a good idea to see your veterinarian, at least get a brief veterinary exam and get a better sense of ultimately what is the underlying cause. If it seems to be primary arthritic pain, which is most common for aging dogs and cats, there are a number of specific supplements which can help, such as glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, both in our supplements Ultimate Canine, Ultimate Feline. For short-term use, there's a homeopathic called arnica. It's one of the first homeopathics I ever used in veterinary practice. And for some pets, they respond really well. 0 side effects, potentially big upside. as low as 130C capsule, one of these little capsules, given every 1 to 2 hours for acute pain, completely fine for all of our pets. The active ingredient found in turmeric, 95% curcumin. It is a great anti-inflammatory, has some great pain relieving properties, safe for both our dogs and cats. Dog and cat dose, 250 milligrams per 50 pounds of body weight, once to twice daily. For topical use, consider DMSO. It rapidly penetrates in through the skin, so you can put it over top of an area of affected joint, i.e. the inside of your dog's knee if they have knee arthritis. It'll get in through the skin. It can provide localized pain relief. You can do that 2 to 4 times a day. Then last but not least, which is safe for both our dogs and cats, the cannabinoids, specifically this cannabinoid, CBD. Standard dog and cat dose, 3 milligrams per 10 pounds of body weight. For acute pain, you can double that amount and even do that twice a day. And then for long term, we're doing the 10 milligrams, which equates to 1 drop per 10 pounds of body weight daily. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets of how to recognize the signs of pain in your pets. Last but not least, don't forget about our new upcoming webinar, Top Natural Anti-Inflammatories and Painkillers for Dogs and Cats. I'm going to be showing you all the natural and holistic anti-inflammatories, including the new emerging ones, which you can use at home to help your pets. Why you should be avoiding the NSAIDs, signs of NSAID toxicity, the key signs of pain in our pets that you need to know, chronic inflammation, autoimmune disease. This is how you can help your dogs or cats at home. The webinar is free. It's happening Tuesday, August 26th at 5 p.m. Pacific. You can click the link in the box below to sign up. Click up there to subscribe, hit the bell to sign up for notifications. Then we click that link directly in the box below. I can send you a copy of my free book.